أعوذ بالله من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم بسم الله وبالله وصلى الله على محمد وآله وأفوض أمري إلى الله إن الله بصير بالعباد الحمد لله الذي هدانا لهذا وما كنا لنهتدي لولا أن هدانا الله لقد جاءت رسل ربنا بالحق بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري واحلل عقدة من لساني يفقهوا قولي. My brothers and sisters in Islam, Assalamu alaikum. When we look at the era of our first Imam, the second Imam and the third Imam, that era was known as the era of survival. This was an era where three of our Imams were trying to convey the message of the Holy Prophet and Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to the masses. But the institutions, the governments of that time were determined basically to kill them. So that was known as the era of survival. When it came to the fourth Imam, the fifth Imam and the sixth Imam, that was called the era of knowledge. The complete aspect of ijtihad, the mujtahids that we follow today, was a foundation that was laid by the fourth, the fifth and the sixth Imam. Because after that, the seventh Imam, then the administration and all the governments and every aspect of it started to shift away from Arabia and ended up in Iraq. But it is very important because many a times when we send questions to our Marajas, remember they don't take out these answers from their pockets. There are two places where they will go as a reference. They will either go to the Holy Quran, because Quran itself has 500 questions answered on Sharia alone. Quran itself, 500 questions are in the Holy Quran. And the other source for them is the Hadith, the authentic hadiths which came from the mouths of our Imam. So whenever they refer to some of the hadiths, they will go to the fourth, fifth or the sixth Imam. But when you look at the fifth Imam, he was known as Baqir Ilmun Nabiyyin, that he was the digger of the knowledge of all the prophets, was the fifth Imam. So when we look at the fifth Imam, many of the questions that we have in our minds has been asked of the fifth Imam as to what is the answer for it. One of the areas that we have the most difficulty is the area of the food. Living in the Western governments, Western environment, we always have these questions. Can I have gelatin? Can I have this? Can I have that? Those are all the questions that are there. Now, if you leave aside what Marjai Taqleed has said, you go to the actual hadith of our fifth Imam, and he has talked about every aspect of the food items that we eat. So tonight I will share that with you, some of those. You see, no wonder that the Holy Prophet had said to Jabir ibn Abdullah Ansari, when he told Jabir, because Jabir was alive at the time of the Holy Prophet, he was alive even at the time of the fifth Imam, over 90 years of age. But he was told by the Prophet at that time that Jabir, there will be a son of mine whom you will meet. Convey my salams and tell him that, O Muhammad, your grandfather has conveyed you salams. The Holy Prophet was well aware of how these eras were going to change, and that the fifth Imam will be the one who will be involved along with the sixth Imam and the fourth Imam. So if you look at many of the books, everything starts to come from, whether it is du'as, whether it is Risalatul Huquq, whether it is Sahifa Sajjadiyah, all of this, whether it is Marja'iyat, Ijtihad, all of that started and remained between the fourth Imam and the sixth Imam. So now, there was a person who came from Rome to our fifth Imam, and he says, his name was Abu Ayyub An-Nasi. He comes to the fifth Imam and he says that, can we eat cheese and oil in a government where it is run by the Romans? Because at that time, it was the Romans were known to be the people outside of Arabia ruling. And so this was an interesting question that he's asking. That is, can it be? Can I have oil and cheese? Which is, in that time, there were no industries. There were no factories. What was being done was done by hand. But it was done by the Romans. So he asked this question. And Imam alayhi salam says something very, very important that we need to understand. You see, in the court of law, in United States or anywhere in Europe, you are innocent until proven guilty. Right? That is the way the laws work. The fifth Imam said exactly the same thing when it comes to food and Sharia. He says you must consider everything pak first, unless you know that it is najis. How easy. So it's very important that our children understand that, because sometimes they are in the schools, they are in some places, they have no idea, they're innocent. And then something they'll have and they'll come home and they'll tell you, and we will make such a big fuss about it. We need to be reasonable to make them understand that when it comes to, even if you are to look at Ayatollah Sistani's Risala, that is the first thing he's saying. Consider everything pak unless you know it is najis. He's not saying consider everything najis unless you know it is pak. He's going the other way. He's giving you the benefit of it before you can say that it is najis. So Imam alayhi salam says that when it comes to non-meat products, he said at that point you consider everything to be pak, unless you know it is najis. So the person asks him, can I eat cheese and oil that they're making in Rome. And Imam alayhi salam said, yes, you can. There is no harm unless you know that something that is najis has been added in there. Because when it comes to these matters of Sharia, you also find people go to different extremes. They either believe in it so much that they lose grounds of what they are, because the Holy Prophet used to say, whenever you want to live a life in this world, live a life in the middle. Don't go to either extremes. You understand? Try to live. But sometimes we'll go to this extreme, even when it comes to the timing of namaz. I mean, a fast, what time is the namaz? Just go around every community. Everybody is adding 2 minutes, 5 minutes, 3 minutes. What is all that? Sharia says, I'm telling you Sharia, not about some alims or anybody, but Sharia says that when it comes to sunset, the sunset, you add 7 minutes to the sunset time. And then Amara just say that add 5 minutes for ihtiyat. So the total is 12 minutes. That is it. It's not a question of, my brother, let me go outside and look at the sky. It has nothing to do with it. You understand? Because summers, the brightness in the sky is far longer. It is the redness that Sharia talks about, that the redness has gone away. Generally it is. It only takes that when the sunset comes, you add 5 minutes, and then you add 7 minutes, and then you add 5 minutes for ihtiyat. 12 minutes, and you have reached the time of namaz. This is the time of Maghrib. That is very important for us to know, because the children are getting confused when they go move places to place and they say, well, you know, what is wrong? Somewhere I go, it's 5 minutes, and 7 minutes. What is it? What is the true meaning? And it should always be remembered that it is 12 minutes. It is not about what other country is doing, so I follow that. It is about this country where we live in and where the timings are given. This is why Ayatollah Sistani used to say, you guys amaze me, he said. When I went there to talk to him, he said, you guys amaze me. And we said, why? He said, when they tell you that there is going to be an earthquake, do you come and ask me? He says, you don't come and ask me. So who are you relying on? He said. As we said, we rely on the, all of the people, experts. He said, they are not even Muslims. But you rely on them. You rely on them because he says that is where the expertise is. If they tell you that there is going to be an earthquake, they will even tell you 5 days before. You don't come to me. When there is a moon eclipse, you don't come to ask me, so is moon eclipse applicable to me? You don't ask me. You follow precisely your calendar for that, he said. So he said, why do you cause so much confusion among yourselves when it comes to many matters of Sharia, that answers are there? Okay. And I have answered it over and over and over. To that extent that when we go for ziyarats many times and we are with the tafila, they'll say, Hussein bhai, can you ask him this? I said, well, Baba, it is already in the book that he has published. And he has also published a book which is specifically for the people in the West. I said, it's already there. Can I wear a tie of silk? Can I wear this? I said, Baba, it's already. No, I want to hear from the horse's mouth. Horse's mouth? He is the one who has given you the book. He has already written all this thing. And why do you want to argue? But this is what transpires. And when the children come out of those kind of meetings, they are totally confused. They say, we don't understand. our faith has become more complicated. I said, no. The faith is very simple. The followers are very complicated. You understand? The faith is extremely simple. So you look at that, and at that time Imam alayhi salam says, yes, if it is oil or cheese, and if it is mixed with something you know is najis, then it is najis. But if you don't know it is pak, then why are you worried about it? The second hadith was from Abdullah bin Sulaiman. Now again, why cheese? Cheese is something that in America we are not worried about cheese. But in Canada, it has been a very big issue from the very beginning. And I'll tell you why. So this Sulaiman comes and he says to Imam alayhi salam, can we eat cheese? He's asking Imam alayhi salam. Imam says to someone, he says, I have some money here, can you please go and buy some cheese from the market? So he goes there, he buys all the cheese and bread and everything they bring there, they sit there, and Imam eats with him. He's eating. Everybody ate the cheese and the bread and everything. When they were all done, Abdullah turns over to Imam and says, can we eat cheese? And Imam says, La hawla wa la. I just showed you, I ate with you, and we all had cheese together. Baba, cheese has no problem. You can have cheese. So he started to have, and then there came another question. Now this question was about utensils, right? Somebody said that somebody borrowed utensils. Could be a neighbor, could be a non-Muslim neighbor. So can I use those glass? Can I assume, Imam, he's asking Imam, can I assume that it is pak? And Imam said, yes, you assume it is pak unless you know it is najis. How simple it can be. Now where am I going to go and verify that? But Imam is saying that if you know, yes, consider it pak first. Don't go into doubts. Consider it pak unless you know that something najis was in there. But if it is washed, then it is pak. So somebody comes and says, can I buy a house from a non-Muslim? Literally, there are people who will buy houses from a non-Muslim and they'll bring pails of water with cloth material and they'll start to wash the whole floors and ceilings and walls and everything. Bhai, kya karte ho? Pak kar raha hu. There's no such thing. The only area that you need to be worried about is the kitchen. And that also is the sink or the toilets. The rest of the stuff that you have, it is pak. Consider it pak. Why do you want to consider it najis first? For what reason? So Imam alayhi salam was trying to explain to the people, and then somebody said that, Imam, tell us something that is about the meat products. He talked about the non-meat products. Now talk about the meat products. So Imam alayhi salam says there was a person whose name was Zurara. Now I'm telling you this because a few years ago Sayyid Muhammad Ridwi of Toronto went through all of these questions and he did a thorough research on it. And then he presented to the people in the West and said, well, this is what it is. Because he's one of the most prominent alims in this country. So there was a person called Zurara. Now this Zurara comes and he enters the mosque and he's asking Imam alayhi salam, he says, what about meat products? Imam said, if it is from a Muslim, then you cannot ask him whether it is halal or is it zabiha. You cannot ask him. If you are in a market and you know that the marketplace is selling meat, and if it says halal, eat it, is what Imam is saying. Now we say that we are living in a country now where even the Muslims, unfortunately, are considering chicken and other kinds of products. They go to McDonald's and they'll eat it. And you ask them, they say it's halal. So what do? Well, Imam says you can do ihtiyat. But as far as the ruling is concerned, once you know that the person is a Muslim, then that responsibility is on him. He is a Muslim, therefore you are now allowed to eat. If you want to do ihtiyat, that is your choice. And there is nothing wrong in it. And one of the things that you keep in mind is that if you have a clean heart, you know, the Holy Prophet said the best maraja of a human being is his conscience. That's the best maraja. Why? Because there are times when I enter a restaurant and I know it says halal, but you sit there and something bites you, bugs you. Something tells you, no, something is wrong here. Okay? When your conscience tells you something, listen to it. Listen to it and move forward. If it tells you not to eat there, don't eat there. But as far as Sharia is concerned, there is no problem. If it's a meat product and it is being bought from a Muslim, then it's not a problem. And then comes a very interesting aspect of it, which is mostly related to gelatin and rennet. In Canada, in the cheese, they put rennet today. And pepsin. If it says pepsin, then that's pig's meat, period. There's no alternative to that. You can't have that. It's najis. You cannot eat it. But if it says rennet, now here's the thing that the fifth Imam talks about, because gelatin falls into the same category. What Imam is saying, that when you look at rennet, which comes, or gelatin, which sometimes comes from the skin of a goat or a cow. If there is a gelatin that comes, or rennet comes from the skin of a non-Islamic slaughtered cow, even that gelatin is allowed in Islam. Is what the fifth Imam is talking about. Because he says that when you look at, and specifically the person asks Imam and he says, but what if it is, he argues with Imam and he says, but what if it is coming from a person who is not Muslim? He slaughtered his cow and goat. Imam says that piece of it is known as part of maita, they call it. You see, it doesn't have bones. It doesn't have veins. It has no connection with the body. Therefore, the gelatin and rennet, if it comes even from a non-Islamically slaughtered cow or goat, you can have that. There is nothing wrong in that. Unless you know that the gelatin or rennet that you are eating has been mixed with something to do with the pig product or other types of meat products. But if it strictly says gelatin in the skillets or in the candies or I don't know, so many other types of candies, it just says gelatin on it. Most of the gelatin is either vegetable gelatin, or even if it comes from these cows and goats, it is allowed according to our fifth Imam. So that is what I wanted to talk to you about, to kind of give you an idea as to how our Imams have said. And so he's trying to explain, because this person is arguing. Still he is arguing with Imam. But it comes from this goat and this. And Imam alayhi salam says, let me give you an example, Imam says. He says, let's say a chicken has died. Now inside the chicken is an egg. So if you cut open that chicken, you'll get that egg. Imam says, can you eat that egg? It's coming from a dead chicken. Can you eat it? And he's first asking him, so he's saying, no way, I can't eat an egg from a dead chicken. So Imam then says, okay, what if we keep that egg aside and it hatches and a chicken comes out of it alive, then what? He said, then I would have that chicken. And the Imam says, what's the difference between that egg and a chicken? There was no difference. The egg, even though it came from a dead animal, that egg was still considered to be pork. And you could eat that egg. Similarly, he said, in the same way, if you kept that the egg and it hatched a chicken, then also you can have that. Because it has nothing to do with the dead body. Similarly, when it comes to gelatin, that comes from the back skins of, generally from the back skins of cows and goats, even if they're not slaughtered Islamically, they're really not considered to be part of that body other than the one that died. So, we pray to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that bihaqqi Imam Masumin alayhi salam, اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم اللهم بحق محمد أنت المحمود بحق علي وأنت الأعلى بحق فاطمة وأنت فاطر السماوات والأرض بحق الحسن وأنت المحسن بحق الحسين وأنت كريم الإحسان إلهي توبة قبل الموت وراحة عند الموت ومغفرة بعد الموت والنجاة من النار ودخولا في الجنة وعافية من كل بلاء الدنيا وعذاب الآخرة برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين. اللهم صل على محمد.
السلام عليك يا رسول الله يا خاتم النبيين السلام عليك يا أمير المؤمنين يا سيد الوسيين السلام عليك يا فاطمة الزهراء سيدتي نساء العالمين السلام عليك يا أبا محمد الحسن بن علي أيها الزكي الناصح الأمين السلام عليك يا أبا عبد الله الحسين بن علي أيها الغريب المظلوم الشهيد بكربلاء السلام عليك يا أخت الحسين زينب بنت أمير المؤمنين السلام عليك يا أبا الفضل العباس بن أمير المؤمنين السلام عليكم يا أئمة الهدى يا علي بن الحسين ومحمد بن علي وجعفر بن محمد وموسى بن جعفر وعلي بن موسى الرضا الغريب الغرباء ومحمد بن علي وعلي بن محمد والحسن بن علي السلام عليك يا مولانا يا صاحب العصر والزمان السلام عليك يا شريك القرآن السلام عليك يا إمام الإنس والجان الأمان 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 من فتن الزمان سيدي عجل الله تعالى فرجك وسهل الله تعالى مخرجك وظهورك ورحمة الله وبركاته. اللهم صل على محمد